The environment is electric over in Chongqing tonight as we kick off LNG, and on the screen, anything is possible. The words that should be resonating through your mind as you look at this team that has yet to be stopped by only one team. And for LNG, their loss to BLG comes at the sleight of hand of BLG moving up the ranks, but they're still one of our top tier teams here in the LPL. And today they get challenged by LGD, a team that in the past has always been that powerhouse that has taken us to a game 3 to look to challenge even further. Hello and welcome back to the LPL. My name's Jake Osipenko. This time joined by Mr. Clement Chu, who's going to be joining me throughout all the day. And Clement, welcome back to you amidst a couple of games today that are really going to solidify standings.
Oh yeah, this one's going to be very hype because LGD is coming back after the ban with Condi and trying to shore up their roster with the new jungler coming in. And yesterday, we saw some changes as well. IG slowly sneaking up the roster again. I love Forge posts happening on Reddit, and he did carry that series to an upset victory over Suni.
I'm glad everyone followed through with those posts, so much thanks to the Reddit community and of course to the Twitter community as well, and everyone watching at home. IG, you mentioned there before, I still see Suning as a big powerhouse, and it's good to see that in the upcoming matches, they're still in that retention for top 8 position. But today we get more of that because LGD are just outside the back bracket as well.
They're very, very close. And if you look at who the top team is in FPX, you know who gave them that one single loss?
Yes.
It was LGD. They are the counter logic gaming of the LPL, and they always take you down when you least expect it to. So be afraid of LGD when they have nothing on the line.
The only difference at the moment for LGD, though, is they're not sitting in the same position maybe as CLG, but at the moment, it's a great point. LGD up against LNG makes that just that bit extra, but Rogue Warriors and EDG later. Now, Rogue Warriors don't have a win yet. I'm expecting this one to be a big match.
Yeah, you have to remember, it's not only just a match win, is they don't even have a single game on board, but Rogue Warriors have looked a lot better than people expected. They took a lot of early games, even against teams like RNG, even against teams like FPX. So there's still good things to look for. They just need to learn how to close one out.
Yeah, look, and on that note as well, it's to me just exciting to see teams like Rogue Warriors still putting these early game performances in, but we'll digress forward. We'll talk about that a little bit later because another matchup we have to look forward to is the grand final rematch coming up this Saturday.
And these two teams have been heating up. Sure, not a great start, but later on, even without Rookie, and even with JD Gaming dropping a couple, they've been slowly getting back into form.
Yeah.
IG with their crazy fighting style, and JD Gaming with the carry potential in their front line. This is one you don't want to miss. I don't think it's going to be as cut and dried as we saw in the finals.
Again, coming up on Saturday, that is going to be the second series in the day as well, excuse me. So looking forward to our new match of the week and looking forward to this matchup here today because Clement, LGD and LNG, like we talked about before, these two teams are playoff potential teams with LNG being more so.
Yeah, definitely. And the biggest reason why LNG moved from a bottom tier team when they were Snake to now contesting for the top 4 slots is because of their mid laner. Plex has been someone that we had a lot of questions about. No language coming in, no experience actually playing in China, and he performs to great standards.
That's right.
And that's the reason why we have to take a closer look at him. The thing I am most surprised about is despite not being the focal point of his team, despite having very low gold shares, he's still getting the kills in, so still carrying in the work.
That's right, and the fact that he could play around some of the flex picks, the champion pool that is so relevant in the LPL is important. Like the Silas, the Nico, two very big power picks here in the LPL. And it's exciting to see, as you can already go by as well, if he gets Aatrox, which nobody should, he's a powerhouse on that too.
He's a great finisher. That's how I really view this player. He's not the person getting most of the side lane waves. That's still going to be Asura, and he's not the one that's, getting most of the resources or jungle attention. But when it comes to those big team fight moments, he can close down on those kills, and he can make his champion worth it, especially on the Silas. His team fighting is something that I've actually really enjoyed. What you can notice is that he has a very keen sense of which side of the team fight to play on. This time, kiting around to the back, finishing off 2 targets, and then then moving on with SofM to close out the rest of the entire team. This guy has something that most rookies don't have, which is a great sense of how to play in a big, hectic LPL-style brawl.
And because he's mechanically reliable, it facilitates a role that wasn't there when Marla or Andy were in the team, even bringing Fen in. This is just such a different player, and it's no surprise that this man originally, came from Griffin.
Yeah.
Now in the LPL, and you're like, well, this team has just given us the best.
I was really surprised by the amount of kills he's actually getting. He has the most kills on his team and is ranked 3rd among mid laners, despite having a pittance of gold, only 22%.
And he's new.
Yeah, the team does not focus him, but in team fights, he's still able to convert that and make those kills happen. So he's a great finisher, great addition for LNG, and why they're looking as one of the top
I
teams.
feel like it's opened up the jungle as well, and that just leads us into our next discussion, because Plex being so comfortable in the mid lane, being mechanically viable and durable, I should say. Now SofM looks better than he's ever looked, Clement.
Yeah, and SofM, we just want to bring up one stat to show you how crazy this guy is. He has the most wards placed per minute and the most wards cleared per minute. He places more wards than the bottom 4 supports in the LPL.
I also want to point out that I know the footage you were looking at, and it was what, like 120 ward score by 35 minutes?
120 vision score.
Yes!
And he
get
has the
that?
most, that's cleared, sorry, but most wards cleared of any single player in the LPL. Absolutely crazy. And we're actually going to break down on how he does it. So the reason why that people feel like it's very hard to put more wards and clear more wards at the same time is because you have to choose between Trinket and Scanner. Now, the secret to SofM is that he actually swaps constantly. Now, Trinket to Scanner when on cooldown. Why do you do this? Well, it's because the cooldown is not a flat cooldown shared. It's proportional. So if you have 140 seconds on Trinket and you swap to Scanner, you only have a 70-second cooldown left on Scanner.
Right, so you really hit those windows.
Yeah, so you can use your Trinket more frequently than the enemy jungle. And then on the flip side, he swaps to Scanner to Trinket when he goes out to base, especially at the 5-minute mark. Now, why is that? When it comes off cooldown, the game gives you 1 extra free ward on your Trinket. It's to prevent the map from getting overcrowded with wards earlier in the game, so you're locked to 1 Trinket ward before 5 minutes, but after that, you get a free one. So when he comes back at 5 minutes, he swaps to Totem Ward and just gets an extra free ward. And this is really cool because he consistently does that throughout the entire game. If you think about it, when you come back, you have 2 control wards. You can head out with the Trinket. You have that ward clearing ability anyway.
That's cool.
It's really amazing.
That's really cool. I like that tidbit, Clement. It's very important as we're taking a closer look at LGD. Now, of course, there's one man on your screen there who you're going, that's a familiar face. All I need to talk about with these lineups is the fact that Eimy is back in the jungle there, in front of Lies. And yes, welcome back to the LPL, Eimy. We'll go through them in a quick second, but of course, Yuuki in the mid lane, Kramer and RD your bottom lane. We're speaking about the jungle there, which we'll come back to after we take a look at their opponents in LNG today.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to have the same shout-out reaction from the crowd from LNG. Okay, there you can hear it.
We are in Chongqing, so you would expect LNG to be louder.
Yeah, definitely the case, and you can see a lot of these signs actually showing that LNG players have been working out. They've been commenting on the players' big abs and enlarged chests, which is okay.
Okay.
They must be sharing something on social
This is why I love having you on the desk, Clement, because Raz and I laugh at the side. It's like, oh, they're cool, fun, and inventive. You're like, actually, no, they're talking about their pecs.
Well, if you want to carry, you have to have a good body.
That's right. You need good pecs, good back. Let's go through the lineups of LNG. If you're unfamiliar with them, of course, Flande in the top lane, SofM in the jungle, Plex, our new Korean mid laner here, imported for his first split. Running it down, but not in the bad way, of course. Asura, and in your bottom lane, Duan, who also has had a very good changing split.
I think he's the most improved player of the entire split. Previously known as Caveman, he was a Nautilus Alistar one trick, but this time around, his Lux is something to be feared. Had a great time getting that MVP and winning his team the series, and he's actually incredibly accurate with his light bindings. He's been a great addition to this roster as well. You know, we don't mention the supports often, they don't get enough love, but he should get it.
We're starting to give more and more love to the supports of the LPL, and for good reason. Playing up to the standard that we expect them. Of course, Duan being Caveman, as mentioned before there. Clement, thank you very much. From LNG Gaming, so coming out of his shell a little bit here on LNG, but I do want to return to that point, which we're going to talk about, that Eimy returns. Now, fun fact, was in LGD for like, what, 3-4 years. Left in May and was like, I'm going to go see the world. And suddenly, after a month, he's back.
We haven't seen him since 2018, the spring split of that. He's been away for a long time, but like you said, long-term jungler for the team. He was known for his rec side, his super aggressive type of style. However, coordination-wise, the entirety of LGD was a little bit hectic, so he was replaced later on with other junglers. And for the spring split, it mainly has been Kandi. Now, we do have to give everyone a little bit of context. Kandi is still serving his global ban, 18 months for attempted influencing of LPL actual matches. He is gone, and the organization is in a bit of a tailspin. This is the third jungler that they're playing after Kandi has been banned.
But I will say that I think in game number 2 against FPX, Quay showed his best side.
Yes.
And he was a very good addition to the team. So my confusion around bringing Eimy in is, what about the development of Quay? Is that put on the back burner? Back to the LDL? What is going to be the final run-through of this team in the long run?
That's actually a great question, and it's one that I feel like LGD management have to solve sooner rather than later.
Yes,
they're known as the old-timers team. If you look at their average ages, they're the oldest team in the LPL.
I thought you were going to say because it's been 4 long years, Clement.
And Eimy doesn't actually help that situation, so I'm a bit curious as well, but let's see what he brings to the table. It's been a long time since we've seen him. Maybe he's been working hard, hitting that solo queue.
You'd expect things like the Rek'Sai, the Sejuani, I don't think would be out of the realm of possibility. I remember briefly a Nocturne once or twice there as well. So let's see what the style is adapting against LNG, but also to the team of LGD that is so bot side focused. Of course, we talk about Kramer.
Yeah, definitely. Kramer has been absolutely bonkers this split as well. Moving more towards the Sivir rather than the Kai'Sa this time around, but understandable. Very strong champion. And the biggest improvement for LGD this split has been their teamfight prowess. Especially Lies, for me, has been a standout player that improved a lot in his specific role. He's always bringing the big AoE crowd control. He's the only top laner playing Hecarim. He has a great Kennen and also a great Nico as well. So in my perspective, the way LGD actually beats LNG this time around is that they stick as 5 and they plan for LGD flanks. If they can anticipate the strikes that LGD are throwing at them, and they're always there to counteract and play a big 5v5 team fight, then they can take away LNG's main strength. They can beat them in the 5v5s. Now, the way LNG likes to play the game is flank and shank. That's what I call it.
Flank and shank.
They always have Flande coming in from a teleport or Plex coming in from some unknown angle, and they catch you unawares. They go 5v3, 5v4, and then they wipe up the entire team. So LNG are great against hectic team fighters in the LPL, but they're less so against the organized team. So against DMO and BLG, they had a little bit of trouble because these teams stick together, they anticipate team fights, they choreograph their team fights, and it makes it very difficult for LNG to catch them off guard.
And the better the team fighting team, the more likability that they can stick on someone like Asura, who, much like Kramer, is another core focus. Now, let's do a point of comparison for our viewers out there, because Asura into Kramer, for me, is an exciting matchup, because both of these AD carries have the majority of their team's damage percentage. They're always on the carry threat. And when you're in the 30 to 35% average damage percentage per game, then you're looking like the core focus for both of them.
Yeah, they are very similar in the carry positions, but the champion pools are slightly different. I would say Asura is more leaning towards the Ezreal pick because his team typically does not protect the backline whatsoever. No one is protecting the backline, so you're on your own, son. The Ezreal is going to be the main pick for him. For Kramer, however, like we mentioned, the Kai'Sa is still going to be the
Lucian's a good one as well.
Yes.
To add on there. So
and I would also say that both of them are great Vayne players.
Yes.
We've seen Kramer pick the Vayne against the Xayah matchup, which I think is interesting because you actually don't get the lane priority, but you can dodge out on the Featherstorms a lot of the times. You can dodge out on the Blade Caller and just skip most of her damage potential. So that's a very interesting counter matchup that could influence the entire series.
Also very relevant because if both are Kai'Sa players towards the bottom lane, Vayne was the pick to go into Kai'Sa when she first came out. The Condemn into the all-engaged potential can always backfire onto the Kai'Sa. So we have realistically seen that in the LPL to be picked up against that certain champion. So keep an eye out for the Kai'Sa v Vayne, but also the aggressive verse. Okay, Asura, you're on your island. We'll see you late game. Because it is focused around the bottom lane, but at different times of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I would say LNG have a more topside focused flavor to me. Their solo laners are great. A lot of times their early game focus is surrounding those two players rather than their bot lane. But for LGD, hey, it's all about Kramer.
Yeah, that's right. He has been the core of this team, and coming into game number 1, let's see him insinuate his damage, his threat. Coming into LNG, who have only dropped to BLG so far.
Okay, so we're seeing some interesting bans from LGD, not actually taking away the Aatrox or the Akali. Now, these two are the typical bans you have to take away from LNG because they play Aatrox in 3 positions, and I would venture to say Flande is the best Akali player in the entire LPL. So I'm very surprised by this one. They're giving up one or the other.
Remember, you're also giving up something like the Silas 2 here, Clement, which has been a first big pick. First big pick, that's right, on blue side.
Yeah, the Silas is huge for Plex. It's his main go-to champion. I think it's incredibly safe. There are very few matchups where you just outright lose on that one.
Wow.
But, ooh.
So this is still 9.11, but the Karma has been played since 9.10. The LPL favors this, and it's good to see that LNG are willing to shift it around because Duan does play mages in the bottom lane as well.
So what we've seen from drafts where you take Karma first pick is it puts a lot of pressure to then go into the, to then take away things like Olaf, which synergize so well with it. There's very few mid laners that can bully out Karma early, so giving them Olaf plus Karma is asking for trouble. In the meantime, if LGD go Yuuki and Sivir right here, we've actually seen some great counters to it. Things like Lux, Callista have been run by top esports very successfully against this counter. So I actually feel LGD are taking a bit of a risk, not taking away the Olaf, because I think LNG are forced to take Olaf right here. There's no way
this
you
is never open. Olaf is never left open in the LPL. Red side, blue side bans the works. It's always taken out by the first phase, so to leave it open here, as you're mentioning, Clement, is a risk, but maybe they play into that risk and say, well, they're going to play a safe bottom lane, now it's up to the jungle before we take it away.
So there's a different way to look at this, and the Karma could be going towards the bottom side as well. Now, Plex has never played Karma just yet, so that could be a possibility, and the way Karma can play against a Yuuki is you have that extra shoving power to keep her locked underneath her tower and make that a strong side of your map. So, wait a minute.
Wow,
They're not doing that either. That's purely a lane that's going to get bullied.
Yeah, Alistar, first of all. Now, back in the Vici Gaming days, we knew Caveman for the time catch the Alistar, so more towards his style, but for LNG, they have left a lot open for LGD in this last pick.
This is insanely risky right here because this bot lane cannot get the kills unless there's jungle interference in the early game. This is a bot lane that's going to get poked down, that's going to take a lot of damage, and they need that jungle interference. They're great with the Alistar WQ combo, but unless you have that third person there, you're wide open for abuse. And LGD is going to have that pick first when they get to the 4th pick to snag something like the Olaf.
And they got the Silas on the way in. So for LGD, they're going, well, we're happy with this. Expect the Olaf ban to come out because LNG have not prioritized it. SofM might want to go a different direction, but they're just getting these targeted bans out of the way. Akali against Flande, and Lies, his best champion, his most famously known champion is the Yorick. He's the only one to play it so far.
This just looks weird from my perspective as an LNG draft because Kai'Sa and Alistar are not top tier priority picks
they're
in the early
A to B tier.
Yeah, they're definitely not things that you feel like you have to go after, especially when the enemy has already showed you the Sivir.
Yeah,
so
you can wait.
This is a weird type of draft. I'd much rather prefer like just getting those early picks for Flande or those early power picks for Plex. Or just getting the jungler. This is a very unorthodox draft strategy.
It really is.
And I want to see if there's actually some reason to this. Maybe they have a good combo with the Alistar to find kills on Yuuki.
At least it sets up what we're talking about with the bottom lane by the end of our chat, Clement, that it will essentially be bottom lane focused if LNG want to run a draft like this.
Yeah, it's super, it really is confusing, and a lot of the strong stuff left on the table is not going to be there. None of the junglers were banned, by the way. Yeah. So Olaf Yuuki plus Sivir he's still there. That's one of the most disgusting combos that we've seen in the LPL.
You go for Gragas instead. Well, Eimy used to play a lot of Gragas, so that makes sense. He hasn't changed, Clement.
Okay. A lot of interesting things happening this draft. Okay, LNG finally gets the Olaf, so maybe they have the scouting information on Eimy where they don't see a lot of the Olaf pick, and they know that they can still snag it later in the round.
Or you could just throw Olaf to the wind and say, hey, this game we're not going to play it. Sejuani into the Gragas. We've seen that matchup a couple of times here. But let's see how it develops because, like we said, this ban is nowhere near normal.
So this looks like a mid lane Yasuo and a top lane Karma.
Let's just wait. let's just wait.
Oh, come on, lock it in. Yuuki, please.
Man, I don't know what's going on. You see the Asura, you get excited. LGD are just playing with our hearts at this point. It's been that kind of draft, but we did talk about this champion, Clement. Hecarim has only been played in the LPL by Liars. And he's the only person playing it.
Yeah, he does favor the teamfight utility much more than his own laning strength. I wouldn't say Hecarim is a great top laner at this point, especially after his Warpath was nerfed. So there's a lot of range champions that can just kind of dunk on him. He's very reliant on jungle pressure to get through that entire laning phase. But hey, that's kind of the utility man that LGD expects out of Lies, and they do play towards the bot lane. They have a great bot lane this time around. Lots of priority, lots of utility, and I want to see if SofM can sort of stop this encroachment by Kramer on the Sivir. He's supposed to get that turret plating very easily.
At least you got an Alistar, you got a Yasuo. So what LNG were thinking were, we'll get the knockups. You know, it's simple, a simple state of mind. But what an interesting draft to come into our first game of LNG and LGD. If you thought both these teams were going to be normal, well, think again, because you've got the best of both worlds really in game one.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting scouting information going on between these teams that I don't think most people are necessarily aware of. That's why we're seeing the drafts look very different from what you usually get. Alistar is not a high priority champion. Maybe RNG loves to pick it, but that's pretty much the only team that places emphasis on that. I know it's a counter into Sivir because it's very hard to spell shield the WQ combo, but most of the time Alistar is a sitting duck in lane against someone like the Eimy. You're gonna get hit most of the time, and it's just not fun to be in that position unless you have a lot of jungle pressure. Now, I do like the Sejuani into the Gragas. That's traditionally known as a strong counter into the Gragas. Gragas can't slow you. You can't stop. He can't really stop you from charging into you.
It's all about the burst into Sejuani, and she negates that.
You actually out-damage her, out-damage the Gragas as well. So SofM should be able to get that early priority, and I hope we can stop that bot lane from just pushing in. Now, when it comes to teamfight, I actually favor LNG's composition a little bit more. Much more stable front line, wombo combo potential that can instantly wipe targets off the map. So much like LNG, like we said, the flank and shank team, if they get a drop on you, you better be careful.
You're getting ready for the Yasuo to run into the Silas. You're getting ready for Plex to test his might here in the mid lane. Already moving into game number one. LNG and LGD is shaping up the opposite of what I expected. So we'll let the fans do the talking as we enter Summoner's Rift.
Checking, we already have a flash burned away from Asura. You always have to be wary when Yuuki comes in for these level ones.
This is why Raz complains about getting in late. Look, yeah, we'll throw some fan signs up. So Asura's flash burnt, good spot there, Clement. Didn't see that one, but it was LGD making the invade as the fans finally cheer for the team that's on the field in LGD.
And I just want to point out something. We talked about SofM getting a lot of wards. This is what he typically does. He starts with Trinket, places the first one down, and immediately goes home and swaps to Sweeper just to cut that cooldown down.
Well spotted again, Clement. So SofM, he's towards the bottom side right now. Going to be a red start, which has been warded out. You look at the vision control and the coverage from LGD during that invade, and they'll spot the bottom side going down. This is going to be a simple track, but in the same regard, should be well spotted here by LNG as they know exactly where that Gragas is going as well.
So very interesting start just to slow down the enemy track a little bit. I'm not sure if they actually got the big Raptor from that camp. That's the one where the experience is mainly centered around. Would like a second look at that.
Find out in a short moment, but first, Clement, I do want to break down LGD a little bit further. If I have time, I don't think so, because the mid lane's just whacking away. Plex jumps back in. Yuuki just hits him with a chain on the way out. And I was right, I definitely don't have time, because Plex getting pushed against the turret so darn early. Yeah,
with everyone on low HP, you don't really have time to proc that Conquerors, and Aftershock is just going to bully you out for now. This is quite expected in the early phases of the matchup. And I want to check what Sejuani actually does with this information onto Gragas. Now, taking away those Raptors are actually quite important. The Raptor camps have a lot of EXP in them, far more than something like the Gromp or the Wolves. So we just want to slow Gragas down a little bit.
Remember there was a ward on this camp as well, and it's expired. So SofM not taking it in that way, it does give some information, but Yuuki not aware as he starts pushing it.
He should be now.
I think Assault flashes on in now. The Winter Slayer should be available. Level 3. Permafrost needs one more auto, finds it. They jump on with the flash from Gragas. Plex goes too far forward, and guess who's there to receive? Eimy enters Summoner's Rift, enters back into the LPL with first blood going to Yuuki.
Yeah, that was so well timed on their part. The warding actually just gone out on LNG in the top side of the jungle, and Yuuki got a Kingslayer as well. So not even close, says Yuuki as he walks away from that first blood.
10 CS up in the lead as well, able to push the wave in. And remember, Plex takes Ignite in this lane, and he's used both his summoners in that small trade. So the Yasuo not feeling too good there after Eimy makes his presence known.
I will say that that was a little bit of a misplay on SofM's part. If you looked at his Winter's Wrath, he actually didn't land it.
That's true.
So it was a bit unfortunate. If he got the stun there, I think that would have been a good
And Eimy's
kill.
just in another lane again. Clement, this is not good. Lies.
Lies?
They force the
Lies?
flash. He goes too
Lies?
far forward. Yep. Not good for who? I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay. So we're seeing a little bit of laning mistakes coming in here and there, a little bit, just charging a little bit too far forward. What you really want to do with a devastating charge is always run forward in front of the enemy and then get the knockback. But Flande was probably already a little bit too close to tower range.
It was props to Flande who flashed. Once again, we don't have time to talk because SofM back to the mid lane, but Flande in that flash as the devastating charge was about to hit. So partly good on Flande there to make sure the charge set him closer towards the turret, and he gets the maximum out of it. Glacial Shroud first back for a Kramer top. The Iceborne Gauntlet with the Klepto. Now this for Lights is going to get difficult.
Yeah, and this Gragas pathing has been very beneficial to the bottom side for LNG as well. Look at their CS score. They're not getting that CS lead because they have priority. They're getting that because Sejuani's around that sector. LGD have to respect it and actually hold the tower near. So I have to say that gank that failed in the top side hurt LGD a lot more than it looks.
Yeah, across the map. Even though you have a CS lead in the mid lane, the bottom lane much more even than we expected. Flande's got the push in this top side though, and Eimy's looking for the repeat gank, but the deep coverage there of the ward should be able to spot him before it's too late. However, Eimy backed away anyway, didn't want to go for the repeat offense. Yeah,
it's going to be very hard to take down that Karma once she has the Glacial Shroud. Just the extra HP, the armor, and the cooldown reduction as well makes her very difficult to actually shut down. So, you know, I respect that call. They don't know where Sejuani is on the map yet, and they're just going to swap over to the bot side and actually keep that winning side winning. Now, something I like to point out from SofM's path is I actually see this from him a lot as well. He almost strictly focuses on the bot side without touching the top. Yep. And the reason that he can actually do this is because Krug's actually at level 3. It gives you as much EXP as the Wolves and the Grom combined. So if you just keep on going for the bot side and holding on to that side, it's actually a viable strategy a lot of times. And he does like to do delayed buff takes as well. Doesn't really hand off the blue until he feels like his mid needs it.
And right now, he's waiting for the time that Plex may need it, or rather SofM himself. This roam from LNG, Clement, this is quick. Plex is in a pretty good position if he wants to stop this out, but doesn't have level 6. Pops the Predator, takes the right path, and for Eimy, he runs out of dodge before 3 members converge.
Yep, it was spotted on the way, so very good ward by Eimy. Does put the control ward down and just slow the entire bottom lane. But this is something to worry for LGD, because their bot lane should be their winning point on the map. They should have jungle pressure and continue to chip down on that bot lane tower.
You might see something from Yuuki very shortly then, because he's picked up the Glacial Prison away from the Sejuani, has the shot constantly, on this lane. And at this point, you go, well, you've got a CS lead, you've got that shove, you can start roaming down with the Mountain Dragon, with the handoff of the blue buff from Eimy as well. And that lane finally getting the shove on the bottom side as well.
And this is exactly what they should do. If you can't play through mid alone, then at least get mid. You can't play through bot alone, excuse me.
I'm sorry, my words. I couldn't speak English and now it's happened.
You just have to go through mid. It's contagious, you know.
Yeah. Holden's top side. Onslaught of Shadows now onto Flande, but that did absolutely nothing. Ignite's going to come down. He's very confident, but Sejuani's nearby. I think he's bitten off too much. Lies. This was a mistake. No matter, no worries. SofM's going to whack you once, whack you twice, whack you a third time, and even aftershock you to death.
Yeah, that's a very rare sight that we actually see the challenging smite being taken by Sejuani right there.
He's feeling pretty good, Clement.
Yeah,
he's feeling pretty good.
Yeah, he got that calculated. You know, he knew he needed the extra damage just to finish off that kill, so... good move on his part, but these trades are a bit baffling to me because if you look at the map, Lies doesn't actually have vision over that section of the map, and I don't understand why he was trying
He felt
to
big.
do
He's a hacker of Clement. He's got to do what he's got to do. Speaking of which, in the bottom lane, Kramer on the hunt. Has already used the spell shield, and this is what we're talking about. The killer instinct with the Ignite. Kramer going to die. LNG's bottom lane, Clement. Which lane was meant to win again?
Okay, I guess I completely underestimated how strong that thing was. If you look at RD, I think if you look at RD here, he actually expended both summoners just to keep his team alive, but still couldn't get it. He gets the spell shield on the W, but not on the Q. Gets hit by the stun, Ignite goes down, and even with the heal, that's not enough because that's still during the Ignite timers. Only half of that heal goes through.
You can see why they were comfortable to pick the Alistar into it. The headbutt, spell shielded, but it's the pulverize you need to worry about. Asura picking up his first kill of the game and Manamune off the back of that, and suddenly LNG through multiple lanes they can play through. It doesn't matter that their mid is 20 CS behind when the lane in the bottom side, which was meant to be getting shoved out, when the lane in the top side is doing so well as well. Starting to have problems here for LGD.
Definitely a big issue right now, and it's going to be hard for LGD to prevent these roaming members just keep on coming to mid lane.
Yep.
You can't really push out as Yuuki if both of the side lanes are collapsing at the same time, and I think we're going to see that happen pretty soon in the top side. Sure, Karma's not going to be able to kill you, but she can be pretty damn annoying and start chipping down those turrets.
I mean, she can kill you at this point. I wouldn't really hold anything to lie.
It's hard. It's very, very
Doesn't have the Ignite. Now, we're spotting out a ward there. I want to talk about it in a second because that's been crucial. The Predator here for Eimy. Going to spot out SofM. They just want the shove for now. With SofM having a level advantage over Eimy, he can shove him out before he gets back into the wave.
And you can see why LNG was doing that. Their top side was already collapsing first, so they even pinged out the position of where Eimy was going to be. They're very well aware of that, and they were willing to take the 2v2, even with Yuuki being that far ahead in CS.
Yeah. What I love here about LNG, though, Clement, is the fact that our slowest team in the LPL, by 3.5 minutes, no doubt. Their average game time is 37 minutes, by the way, folks. LNG are playing a much more tempo game here in game number 1, so it's impressive that they're so durable, so versatile, and now they'll have to do that again in the top side.
Oh, can they finally get
Oi! That's, I'm not sure if good or bad. Clement, your turn.
That was okay. That was okay.
By who?
You got the flash, but actually, I say it was still favorable for LNG. There's going to be a lot fewer chances that Eimy can come up here and try to babysit this lane, especially with the way it's going, because this is actually going to get worse and worse for the top lane for Lies. So if you don't get that kill, you don't stem the tide, it's probably worse.
And the more time that he spends to the top side, the stronger this lead grows. There's 500 gold already for SofM. He's picking up the Rift Herald, and while this is going on, I'm not sure if he still has the ward. No, he's still on the lens here after 5 minutes. But LNG are making the rotation and want to challenge this.
Yeah, this is very risky, but they have to have good vision on SofM, or Yuuki going in could just eat a Glacial Prison to the face.
They're going to leave it. So smart move here, but LNG trading Rift Herald for nothing, and it doesn't take the bottom lane to rotate to the top side to actually get this. Does he have Spell Shield? No, this time Flash does the job.
Just has to get away as soon as possible. So it looks like my understanding of the matchup did not go past the level 6 mark. And after that, it does seem like just with Kai'Sa's killer instinct, she's able to chase up and finish those kills quite easily. Whereas pre-6 doesn't really have the kill
I feel like you're right, Clement, because pre-6 you're like, either way, the matchup wasn't going well. Yes.
Yeah, so you can still see that LGD do have the priority and they do have that extra 2 tower plating.
Yep.
But just 1 kill and Asura has the gold lead.
Yeah, thank you so much. A bit of gold for a bit more gold. You got Manamune there as well, so the stacking capabilities online here for Asura. And I know, Clement, you were talking a lot about the build. Will I have time? Yes, this time I will. You're talking about the Manamune into the more AP style build for the Kai'Sa in a team that doesn't have strong AP presence.
Yeah, that's something that we've been seeing a lot, but wait a minute.
Yeah, there's a final chapter onto Asura. They can't get it. Only just. Now, Kramer's going to get tagged here, and Duan wants to go in.
Wow, now, LGD, I'm not sure they can push anymore. Like, that was a huge summoner, not summoner. Actually, yes, there was a summoner burned earlier. That was a huge cooldown used from RD, and they can't do it. Even even just venturing out past river is dangerous at
Hey,
this
we're
point.
back to fighting. Last breath in the mid lane with Ignite down. Yuuki thinks he can take it. He has the last breath himself with the Winter's Flail in 1-2. SofM has the Arctic Assault, but he's not going to charge any further forward with Eimy in the mix. LNG trying to burst out Yuuki, who seems to be the hope here for LGD.
Yeah, that was a smart fight to take there for our LNG. Most important, Eimy, no flash.
Hey, but this time the onslaught's going to work out because Amy's here, body bops into Flande, and picks up his first kill of the game. While the mid lane, the Rift Herald, the time's ticking.
A very important kill just to stem the tide, but
Woohoo!
mid lane wide open.
Yep, but the gold getting separated, I know LNG probably wouldn't be too happy about that, but LGD, they're going to be able to clear this one away. Still, a lot of damage done to the mid lane turret, and LNG still in that 1k gold lead.
Just taking a look at the items, I'm actually quite surprised about the Ardent Sense or Rush. Most of the time, you still see the Athenes being the one going in there.
I will say, when you have a Yasuo and a Kai'Sa, why not? Like, man, that's me as a Karma top laner, you know? You know how much I play Karma. The only item I rush is still Ardent Sensor. I'm stuck in patch 8.7.8.11. I can't remember when it was.
Okay, I expected just either the Frozen Fist to be completed first, but okay.
He's like, well, I'll be fine anyway. We are going to have a look at how Flande got called out, because this time lies right place, right time for his jungler.
Yeah, heal down, not able to get the tether down. That's the one that really gives you the healing and just the burst damage enough, even without flash.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, that's probably the worst possible place to get killed.
Yes, especially because Yasuo got the kill who was behind, and that was onto Yuuki, who was the greatest success for LGD.
Instantly taking the tower down as well. So roaming Yasuo on the map. Have fun with that.
Yep. Lai's going to try and impact some of this gold lead a bit more. You're looking at turret plating, where mid lane was the only taken for LNG, so small wins across the map for LGD, but after that kill in the mid lane, you're still hurting, because that gold lead now up to 2k.
This is LGD. They really failed to capitalize on the priority that they should have been getting in the bot side.
Oh,
and,
no! Oh,
boy,
no!
this is painful. There's no reason for Yuuki to actually teleport there. If you watch the minimap, Eimy was coming out of base. Like, he was nowhere in the vicinity.
I mean, the worst part for me, Clever, was the fact that Abscond abduct, he's like, he probably would have hit Yasuo anyway. But he moves out, it goes to the minion, which is even further away, and he just travels to his death.
Yeah, that's that was a bit careless, I have to say. And these two control wards have been here forever.
Yeah. Hard for them to clear while the bottom lane gets engaged on. Yuki's like, I'm safe. The dragon's getting taken, but Asura makes him pay for that while the rest of LGD, all four of them, pick up the first dragon of the game. But LNG don't want to slow down.
Yeah, SofM still has his flash, but waiting for his ultimate. Not going to try and engage right there, but situation's so dire for LGD. I hate it when you trade kills for Mountain Drake when you're behind, because you're not hitting towers anyway, so it's almost completely useless.
Oh, but finally, final chapter. Will it lock down Asura? No, he's just out of vision while Duan is going to pop the Unbreakable Will. It's 3 versus 1 as the cow is going to find himself a horse in the mix as well. I like pasture more. He gets a double knockup, but that's not going to be enough. RD, his first kill. It might be useless, but at this point, LNG want to play the game.
Yeah, don't check.
No, the Nico, the Yuuki, sorry, by himself, ignited down. He's going to die anyway, even on top of the Civic. Kramer getting the Boomerang Blade out, and this is a chance for LGD, but they need Lies to find the engage. He's already used the onslaught as SofM launches in with the Glacial President's ult for ult. That was meaningless from both junglers, but the fight is over.
Yeah, I think it meant something for SofM. Actually, he was just trying to buy time for his top laner to continue to chip this tower down. LGD, they haven't had control of the river for so long. That was just a situation for RD to just, you know, leave it, let it be. You got that one kill, be happy with it, get away as soon as you can.
He's just like, I'm going to get some more vision down, and pays for it with his life. So, Yuumi mains, you're not always as safe as you think. Kramer did survive there. You can see he started to chunk out some of the damage with the Essence Reaver picked up way before, but you're getting towards those second item for the 80 carries, and that's when they'll be even more impactful. But it started off the pick of looking for Asura and Duan saving his life. Yeah, that was a great supercharge on Asura's point as well, just to dodge out of that final chapter. And just look how long Duan actually stayed in this situation. This is a 4-for-1 where everyone on the map, still alive on the map, has to come down and get this kill.
This is a solid win for LNG. They trade 1-for-1. Top lane is still completely free for Flande to continue to take down.
Yep.
And this is just delay tactics at this point. Just make sure that these guys can't stop the flow.
As opposed to team fight tactics in that bottom lane. Ult for ult was used and almost back up and available, but now a 2-level lead here for SofM, who, yes, Clemente almost has the best vision score in the game, which is actually now achieved by Asura, which is a big surprise. So
yeah, I wouldn't write home about 24, but
25
it's
now.
Good enough. It's good enough.
It's going up. He's 2-0-2, while the rest of LNG are going to be getting towards those second items themselves. Guinsoo's Rageblade picked up now, and for LGD, they lose their bottom lane turret. They've lost mid before. Top is almost gone. They're breaking across the map, and LNG just have so many windows now open.
This is definitely going to be a situation where LGD need to try and turtle, and their best hope at winning and coming back on the game is once again Lies coming to the rescue, coming in from the flank, surprising someone, and maybe having Yuuki steal that last breath. If they can get some sort of a wombo combo off, maybe they can turn the tides.
Maybe Lies running away. We'll get locked down eventually. There's no damage out of this Karma, but as you mentioned before, Clement, annoyance.
She's a money-making machine.
Yeah, she is. I'm curious to actually see the gold comparison, because you've got a 15 CS lead up in that top lane. Now you have the Athenes built up as well. Still waiting for that frozen fist. Is Flande going to push in the turret? Maybe this is a goal that pushes him over the line.
You know, the only thing I'm glad it's not a Kleptomancy Karma in the top lane. I think those are even more annoying.
What do you mean? It is a Klepto Karma.
It's a Klepto, but it's not a Kleptomancy. It's not
Frostmancy.
Frostmancy.
Right. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. It just sounded natural.
Was it Frostmancy?
Yeah, I think
it's
because it is actually Kleptomancy.
Yeah.
Like,
my bad.
That's all right. But I understand. No Frostmancy, you're right.
Yes,
that was
the
a
no
painful
CS
time.
build is, oh my god, that one is truly annoying.
That was trash. Like, let me just say that was not good for the game. I remember
still being
Ezreal
played,
top lane. Yeah, actually. But towards the bottom lane, right?
And we have a very early Mirror Mana. 20 minutes on the dot. Actually, that's 19 on the dot. So Guinsoo's does actually buff up the Mirror Mana procs as well. That's going to be 6% of her maximum mana being dealt as damage.
Good math. See, if you asked me that question, I wouldn't give you anything there. You're speaking about item completions. Now, Asura just picked up a Zeal straight up, so he had room for a little bit more after, of course, his last back. But in the top lane, you've got a Zeke's Convergence on Flande. So if Asura is already doing so much damage, he's going to be even more heightened, because you know that's exactly where it's going.
Yeah, we've seen two builds that have come up a lot, but first, can Flande actually still survive this?
I mean, he's got the Onslaught of Shadows, flashes away once again, even bursts down Lies just a little bit more. The Hecarim gets the push in. Aimy's now been spotted up towards the top side. But look at the vision. Now with Mountain Dragon coming up, there is no way LGD can contest this next objective.
How are you ever going to kill Asura? Look at how many support items there are on Flande and Duan combined.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick. He could probably go 9th L and like give him the full set of support items at this point.
Now, Clement, while I have you here, what is going on in this quick graph? It's going to be up for 2 more seconds to go.
So the first one is LGD's win rate when they get Baron, and that is 100%.
Okay.
Now, the second one is Baron control rate, which I believe is a little bit lower. So,
but what defines Baron control?
So how many Barons, so of all the Barons that have appeared in your games, how many have you actually taken? That's what it actually means.
So FPX, fun fact, FPX actually had 100% Baron control rate at one point, up until LGD. And then they ruined the stat.
LGD got one and they won with it. So 100%, there we go, baby. Goes on to someone else's hands.
That's why into this series, we're hyping up LGD into LNG. But for this game number 1, it's been the opposite. It's been LNG taking control, slow and steady as they always do. The slowest team in the LPL is now ramping up at this 21-minute mark where Baron is available.
Ooh, they're surrounded.
Such a long lane in the top side. They're using it to their advantage. Lies just being caught out. He's dead. Over to Duan, but it doesn't matter at this point. You're saying Baron's on the menu. It's a 4 versus 5 for 40 seconds.
Yeah, the LNG are definitely going to go for this. They still have a lot of engage options left. The Alistar does have flash, and that's instantly flash last breath. So I like what they're doing here. If they can find the stun, that's a good enough distance for Yasuo to instantly close in.
And it's Eimy has to face check this with his balance course, but Duan finds it first into the body vault. The final tap doesn't matter.
There we go.
Two-man last breath has the key. Thank you, Plex. He's into the house. LNG find the engage. They force summoners with Yuuki trying to get the mid lane shove. LNG don't start the Baron, and that's a small win again.
Yeah, that's acceptable for LGD at this point, as long as they don't take the big purple worm. The game's not going to snowball out of control instantly, and I actually like the control from LNG to just back out of that. You have to remember, if Gragas is still on the field, he's so deadly in just taking down those Baron steals, so playing a lot more steady. If it was JD Gaming, they'd probably turn around and go right ahead.
We're
for
doing
Baron.
it now anyway. It's there. A small shout out to JDG. Nicely done, Clement. 5k goal lead here for LNG, so although for LGD still falling behind, as long as Baron doesn't get taken, they're in an okay position. But they need to get the burst down quick. In the case of SofM, there is a Warmogs now as his second item. So the longer these fights go, the disengage that comes through for LNG, they can just as easily get SofM back in there a second time.
What I was peeking my eyes at is that Hurricanes coming in from Kai'Sa. Bit of a rare item these days, but it just shows you how much faith Asura has in that last breath combo. He knows he's going to attack multiple people and give him and put all of those plasma stacks on multiple targets at the same time. Usually we see the AP builds just for single target damage, or maybe going for the fire cannon for just a bit of extra range. But this is a build where they're very confident in the front line of their team.
Yep. And now with Infinity Edge on the Asura as well, they can start Baron, and this is going to go down super quick with the single mountain. LGD not in position at all, actually. They've dropped the ball on this one for a potential steal. Baron goes, they leave, and LNG love.
A lot of difficult targets for LGD right now. The entire team, for me, just lacks the damage to instantly get someone out. They can't really fight until Kramer has that Infinity Edge up. So if I'm LNG, I'm actually trying to use this window and try to push as hard as physically possible to just collapse LGD, build that gold lead into a 10k where Kramer's not going to be able to roll back the game in a single team fight.
Because remember, we've only got inner turrets left, so they can go through any lane they deem possible. At the moment, it seems to be around the mid lane, looking for another pick that'll accelerate them. Eimy walking into his own jungle is not acceptable at this point. SofM has the 2-level lead, as well as that massive gold lead, and every single lane bad news. The only one that's held up is Yuuki.
Eimy did have a lot of gank attempts early on in the game, but they did cost his team quite a bit. I feel like giving over the bot lane was probably the biggest problem for LGD and their entire composition. With that, they effectively had no priority on the map anymore.
Yep. The bottom lane continues to suffer. This time the inner turret drops down and LGD just back away. With the Baron buff, they get one. Let's see where LNG go next, because around the mid lane turret, no one is there from LGD. And there's pings going towards the top side where Flande wants to make his move.
So they're doing the full bench press at this point. Flande, of course, still has his Baron buff, and no one's going to come here to stop. Good engage from disengage from LGD if they want it anyway. I like the way SofM is positioned. If LGD try to walk up, instant Glacial Prison, and you can continue to have Kramer pushing in the top side. Yeah,
that's right. You want to get one in return, but for Yuuki, although he has a little advantage over the other person with the Glacial Prison,
Flande.
He's going to need to hit this immediately. Flande might be caught out the flash, and that's a slow reaction time there from Yuuki. Now LGD have to back away because LNG are on the move.
It was a very good attempt from LGD. They took a path that was not spotted by LNG. However, you know, Flande was still very much aware, and he's able to dodge out on that. I actually like both plays there from both teams.
But still, LNG with a lead, almost an 8k gold lead. They move to the top side. Eimy has been spotted. There's the explosion. But SofM flashes over the wall. Asura gets out as well. Good attempt from LGD. Although with the Baron buff up for another 115, you need another miracle like that.
Yeah, that was about as close as they could have gotten to a wombo combo. But unfortunately, Lies wasn't actually in position, still clearing on the mid side. And Asura actually had a very fast flash reaction timing there. So good on him to dodge out. And they're not going to be fooled by it again.
No, it gets dropped down. Yuuki's like, this time I'll do it. He steals away an Unbreakable Will, which means he can get in the middle of the fight and negate a lot of that damage. But Plex is roaming up. The Yasuo, who's now gotten himself back into the game, with the rest of LNG, are approaching the inhibitor turret.
Yeah, a lot of power here. Glacial Prison already up as well, so LGD need to
beware. Shadows into 3 people. They find themselves onto the Asura with the knockup from Duan. The last breath comes in, and it's one for LGD, but until they turn around, this still needs to be Asura. Gets healed up by the help of Flande, but LNG are low, Clement. Kramer chasing up, getting healed up by the cat. Eimy here as well.
They've got the slow on Duan.
Zoomies heal there onto Duan. Eimy still wants this alongside Kramer. He flashes forward. Duan doesn't get the knockup. Big moment for LGD. They got a favorable trade.
Yeah, that was a very strong base defense, and that was without Kramer on Infinity Edge. So not even getting the third item spike, and they were able to deal that much damage to the entire front line. Now, even though Lies went down, he bought so much time for the entire team just to dish out that damage.
Yeah.
Now to watch that again, I want to check who's actually taking the tower at this point. So it is Flande, so great time for him to get in. You know, we see the switch of Duan over here. Plex goes in, and you have the Hurricane dealing damage, but they're standing on a lot of AoE damage from Eimy as well. Actually gets a full channel Q down on the entire team, and that's the signal for the entire team to run away. LNG can't take this damage.
Yeah, that was Kramer who's just smacking out there, but also to the side note, Yuuki on the Silas, and then I'm like, hang on, but where did the big burst come from? This man right here. Eimy is still doing damage. It's a 2-item Gragas. And we know AP Gragas is all about that base and no trouble. So level 12, 2-0 and 3. An opening created by LGD, even though they're 8k gold behind.
Man, that was very insane from Eimy to stem the tide. He got the full channel onto Plex, onto Asura, instantly forced them back into the lane, run away and drag that entire Baron timer out. And now you have Kramer with the IE, with the Infinity Edge done. So if LNG need to win these games, win these team fights, I feel like they need to be more proactive with the way they engage. If they're the first ones going in, I'm pretty confident that they can just instantly snipe out a target at this point.
Because you wanted to see them with the Baron playing the aggression and just really nailing down LGD, but in that Baron play, they were unable to break the base, which is always good news for a team this far behind. They have positioning on the map to start contesting for vision. Excuse me, LGD have not been spotted out in this brush and are setting up to find that favorable pick.
So LGD should be spotted just by the zombie ward.
Good ult to steal as well from Yuuki, and remember that's almost a level 16 Silas as he hits that 10-second cooldown on the hijack. So we're getting to a point where LGD are finally getting in their rhythm here in this game 1.
Yeah, it's 30 seconds. This is the last opportunity for LGD to try and get some items and try to get prepared for this fight currently going.
Yep.
I think Lies, his itemization is a bit suspect coming into these team fights. No armor whatsoever. So he could actually be someone that could be focused down proactively from LNG.
What did you say off air, Clement? You said, Lies is just an ult machine. What will he do? He'll just go in. He doesn't care if he dies. He's in.
That is true, but there's full vision all around this sector from LNG, and I feel like they have a very good chance of just spotting them out, and it doesn't even look like LGD are going to give up a contest.
You know what they think? They're going to give this Baron over, they're going to try and defend, and it's going to be about the next Baron for them if they get into the game. But at this point, when Asura now has an Infinity Edge himself, you then go, well, can we give away that objective? And LGD are about to find out.
This is such a tremendous amount of burst damage from LNG, and you have to remember that he has a Zeke's there with him to give him that extra magic damage on hit, and also just the Ardent Sensor there to speed him up. So the backline from LNG is nigh impossible to kill. You need a wombo combo them down.
It's double Zeeks, by the way, from Duan and Flande. So.
There should be another Zeeks onto, I believe, onto Plex. I think that makes a little bit more sense than having 2 of them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're right. So we can see one.
Yep, one on Plex.
Is onto Asura, and yep, one on Plex. So 3-item Asura now picks up GA, a lot more safety in these fights. He's level 17 himself and has the Ignite. Which at this point in the game, when you're late game, you know, just means that much more to tick over. So you've already got yourself the conditions built up for LNG, who are slowly building up this bottom lane wave. But LGD have the wave clear even with the Baron buff, and this is what they're suffering against at the moment.
So LNG, the way they want to treat this fight is basically goad LGD out and then just wombo combo them down. So you can see LNG actually holding the wave outside the tower, not hard pushing as soon as possible.
Mantra Inspire to get the rotation down. LGD in a good position if they want to try and fight this, but at the moment I say that. Yuuki's picked up an Alistar ulti, level 16 now for the Silas. Keep note of that as Plex doing some damage himself. Turret going to go down on the top side. Lies is not here, and this is their window. LNG want to start breaking the base themselves.
There also are no flanking wards for LGD, so this is purely a get some armor mission for the horsey in the top lane. This is not
He's going to lose the maximum here, Clement. They just run to the mid lane. Finally, teleport comes through, but double inhibitor for one turret, probably not worth.
Yeah, definitely not worth. And I like this idea of proactive engage coming
goes
in.
into Lies. The Unbreakable we were used before there on Yuuki's. The final chapter doesn't hit. Asura has to flash away. He's out of the fight while Duan absorbs the front line. LGD successfully defend again, but they lost 2 inhibitors, so one summoner is just not going to cut it.
That was actually very good intuition from RD, targeting out Asura, forcing him out from the fight. If he was able to use Killer Instinct, unhinge, and go in and finish off the kills, that was the game right there.
That's right.
So actually, very good play from them. I just feel a little bit perplexed about Lize's decision to just push the top lane nonstop. I understand that he needs a little bit more gold, but I'm not sure giving up 2 inhibitors is really worth it at this
he's
point.
the initiation tool alongside Eimy. You can say what you want about Yuuki and RD. They have an impact in these fights, but his Onslaught of Shadows is what set up that primary engage there before. This needs to hit, and Lize needs to be with the rest of the team. And let's see where the horse decides to go. He's holding the bottom lane wave, while LNG, with 30 seconds of Baron, can start looking for that final inhibitor.
All right, Eimy, make some miracles happen. You have that flash, you have that R. Asura doesn't have his.
Lize joined the fight as well. Yuuki's going to go in, steals himself another Glacial Prison onto the Karma, but Eimy not confident to go in this time. LNG have priority in the top side. It's not going to rinse and repeat just yet.
One more shot. Oh, 2 more, sorry.
Oh, Yuuki way too far forward. They go for the engage. Glacial Prison onto Eimy as the final chapter finally comes through, but LNG don't want to pull the trigger. This is why they're the slowest team. They're calm, they're controlled. They don't want to overstep.
And these final chapters have been great from RD, zoning out the entire choke point. Even for just a while, does buy them a single breath, but LGD have to use it right now. This is a team fight they cannot shy away from anymore.
We've seen a single breath. I want to see the last breath out of Plex. Turret going down, does eventually. Lize finds Onslaught of Shadow, but into the back line. They need the engage, and Yuuki can't find it. The Killer Instinct over the side from Asura. He gets bopped away, destroyed by Kramer. He now needs to get the Ricochet, but the rest of LGD have been thwarted. Flande runs forward with the rest, and Plex sends himself into the fray with finally that last breath. And what a last breath it was from LGD, as they almost managed to hold on, but LNG too far ahead, too good here in game 1.
Strong and clean laning phase, great macro decisions from LNG. They out-vision pressure the enemy team into giving up the Baron. Not even real contest, not both times that they took the big purple worm down. So a very calm and collected style coming in from LNG, and they're showing why they deserve to be on the top of the LPL list.
That's right, it is calm, it's controlled, and they just get to that final point. They don't rush it, you know. That is the gold graph there for you, because that's how LNG is playing. It's a mountain, they climb it together.
Yeah, that was a very smooth sailing for LNG, and this is a composition that I added a little bit of questions about. Yasuo mid lane is not something we see that much, and not really the style that LNG has shown so far. Usually they're very much focused on Flande being that carry with the Pyke or the Akali or the Aatrox. This time, they're willing to put him on something on a completely supportive role and just let bottom lane carry them, let SofM's early jungle pressure carry them to a strong victory.
And there was some kind of priority there towards Plex as well, who was in the losingest lane. Everyone thinks that's English now for some reason. In the role of LNG, and Plex, you know, came out ahead in the end just because the rest of LNG was so far forward. So it was good from LNG, but I will say from LGD, they tested them. They did put them in somewhat of a corner towards that late game.
Yeah, I felt like they had a game strategy that was very clear. They had very strong initiation potential from the Sylas and from the Hecarim and also the Gragas. If you think about that front line, it's all about engage, all about engage. What they lacked was, however, the first step to take over map control. Right. If you have map control, then all of those tools can be used freely. You can find LNG out of position quite easily, but the first step didn't happen. And the reason the first step didn't happen was because they focused a lot of their early jungle attention towards the top side.
Yes.
Lize did not give them anything in return, let's be honest. And Sivir, even though she got 2 turret platings, she couldn't take that tower. So they never had the map control, they never had the priority, and the rest of the comp just doesn't work that well when you're behind.
know LGD is about Kramer, and when Kramer doesn't get any priority, when there's no jungle attention towards his bottom lane, more often than not, LGD struggle to transition into that mid game and actually have him in a good position. Because that game, Kramer was fed by the end, you saw it. He took out Asura, and he was essentially the better AD carry in the fight until the rest of LNG were the better team in the fight. So it's difficult for someone like Kramer, who is still performing well, I believe, but is just struggling because that game, the rest of LGD had other priorities.
Yeah, definitely. And I would like to see them try to diversify their options a little bit. Now, Yuuki had a great laning phase. I want to see if they can try and snowball that a little bit harder. Maybe if bot lane's not going so well for you, we see a lot of these compositions in the LPL these days where it's like, bot lane get priority or we lose. Yeah. It's like, that's a terrible game plan. That's actually that's not a great game plan. So I would like to see if they can develop more points on the map rather than just the bot lane and see if they can work out with Yuuki. Now, Eimy had a very good record for having these super aggressive plays, stuff on the Rek'Sai and stuff like that. And we've been seeing a lot of Rek'Sai styles. That's actually the most common bread and butter
Olaf.
Combination. And Olaf for sure.
Styles,
I actually don't know why they didn't pick Olaf that
That's
game.
a big question.
Yeah. Like that team comp was perfect for Olaf.
Sorry, I interrupted you. So you're talking about the combination.
Yeah, so I just want to see them try to diversify their options and try to get some synergy in the mid lane as well, especially when Yuuki is able to hold his own against Plex.
Yes.
Then maybe you try to develop that and then you have 2 options on the board. I think Lies is going to play the same way he always does. To be fair, I don't expect big changes out of that side of the map.
I want to see Duan. Put in Duan.
I don't know where he's been, to be honest.
I just want to say, like when you have Duan and you have Plex, both came from the same organization. This is even though it's a different lane.
Duan has never played, and he was a mid laner that is coming in from Korea, and he actually top laner. Yeah, excuse me, and he does have a very good reputation for being a great Jace player in that region.
Put him in.
We've never seen him.
Please put him in. We're going to find out if they do. But for LGD, hope they're not dismayed after game 1. LNG putting the works on. We're going to have a short break, then find out what the works have in tail for us after this.